Hi everybody, Bonnie here. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm so excited to show you my Mix and Match Challenge 2024 that the lovely Cassandra over at Craftably Ever After is hosting, which is the cat in blue overalls with a mushroom hat. You guys might have seen some of the other YouTubers doing this challenge. It's just really cool. I just love how she had people draw, mostly kids draw pictures, and then crocheters get to find patterns to try to make that drawing. So I will link the original video down below so you can see the drawing. But here is my cat in a mushroom hat with blue overalls. The cat pattern that I used is the Happy Huggy Cat by Elaine from Penguin Place Crafts. I had made one of those cats before, and as soon as the challenge was determined to be a cat, I knew that's the pattern that I wanted to use. Now for the hat, I kind of had this gnome-ish like picture in my head. Originally I wanted the hat to kind of wrap around and be kind of flowy, but the yarn that I used was a little stiff for that, so it ended up like this, which I think is cute. The yarn that I used is Loops and Threads, white, light blue, and bright red for the hat. The ears are crocheted onto the hat. I wasn't even going to try to make ear slits, and the hat is then crocheted on. I was going to have it so the hat could come off, but then it's like a bald cat with no ears. So I did tack that down. The hat though, it's folded over. It kind of like naturally did that. It could, I guess I could get it to stand straight up, but I don't really like that. So yeah, I just have it folded down, which I just think is really cute if I don't say so myself. Now the spots, can you guys guess what those spots are? They're plastic and they're snaps, like the top part of a snap. I have the thing right here. These, you can see on the back, there's two parts to them. And I took the top part, which has a little tiny, I don't know if you can see it on any of them, but it's kind of like a thumbtack. It's got a piece of plastic that just sticks right in. So I just got some white ones and I glued them on. I used hot glue, and I used Gorilla Glue hot glue, which I would not recommend. It looks like a glue stick. You put it in just any glue gun, but it's really stringy, like overly stringy, because you know hot glue does have that string, but it was just, I don't know. I would not recommend Gorilla Glue. Go with the cheap ones. The only reason I had Gorilla Glue hot glue sticks on hand was because the girls were in this derby race, and that's what we had used for the car wheels for the Pinewood Derby, but I don't know. Anyway, so I glued on the spots, and I also glued on these tiny little yellow buttons. Briella, when I was making this, of course she's always seeing what I'm making, she said it needed buttons. The overalls needed a button, and I had some of these tiny little buttons, and I think it's cute. I like the yellow, how it kind of pops. I don't know. The nose I used embroidery floss for, and the same thing with the eyes. I did not give it whiskers because the pattern for the Happy Huggy Cat does not have whiskers. But I think it looks good without the whiskers. The overalls, I just, did the front loop only thingy, and I think those are single crochets, maybe half doubles, I don't remember. To give it a little cuff, I did make this almost a no-sew by crocheting in the legs, and I crocheted in the tail, and I crocheted in the arms. The body is already in the pattern, like you don't have to sew on the head and the body. It's one piece, the head and the body. And the ears, of course, you have to sew on. The tail I made longer. I made it really long, so like when it sits, the tail can kind of wrap around. I remember the picture of the mushroom cat had a longer tail, and I just kept adding rows to the pattern, which maybe I added a little too many rows, but I think it's cute. I just did the simple chain for the rest of the overalls, and this is my cat in a mushroom hat, my white cat in blue overalls and mushroom hat. It kind of needs a name because that's a mouthful to say. So yeah, there's my mushroom cat hat guy. This has been sitting on my desk, just really cute. I had so much fun making this. It only took me a couple of days because I just kept working on it, and then I kind of got obsessed with this pattern, and I made a few more cats. I have had a couple, well, like maybe like 3 or 4 good sized scrap balls, which is double stranded, because I was going to make a blanket and then I never did, and then I already had the yarn all like 2 strands of different yarns together, and to undo that was, no, I'm not gonna do that. That would have been a headache. But these yarn balls were just taking up a lot of space, and I was obsessed with the cat pattern, so I'm like, you know, maybe I'll make a Scrappy looking cat. So that's what I did. Turned out a little bigger. Let's move his tail over here. This one is different yarns. I know there's Karen Big Cakes in there. The brighter purple is Karen Simply Soft, but I don't remember exactly all of the different yarns. For the 2 strands of number 4s held together, I used a 5mm hook. For the mushroom cat, I used a 3.75 hook on that one. So obviously 2 strands is going to turn out bigger. I've got a chair. I've got a chair right next to me, so that's why I'm doing that, to get the stuff off the chair. So it's bigger, obviously, because 3.75, and double stranded 5.5. The original cat that I made from that pattern, which I believe I showed you guys, is this one, which is a 3.75, made with like vintage yarn. So it's a number 4 yarn, all of this, but it's a little bit thinner. I think it turned out pretty good. Now, as far as the face, I did give it some embroidery floss whiskers. I just put a piece of embroidery floss through and knotted it a couple of times, and that's all I did for that. And I still had more scrap balls, and I had like this bigger scrap ball that it was kind of annoying me because it was always in the way. So I'm like, you know, I'm gonna make another cat. I made this one, which is like, it had a piece of burgundy yarn through the scrap ball with other different yarns. So I wasn't quite sure how like a reddish cat would look, but I think it looks pretty good. I used a 5.5 with this one because the yarns just seemed a little bit thicker, like that burgundy yarn. And when I was making this one, some of the stitches were pretty tight. And so I didn't really want to hurt my wrists or whatever, so I just went up a hook size, and it's bigger. I did give it the whiskers with the embroidery floss also. I really think that color matched pretty good. The eyes, I just tried something different. It's just the yarn that I embroidered. And yeah, again, I made it no sew with the limbs. The ears I did sew on, the muzzle you sew on. I gave it a little more length of tail, but not as big as or as long as the mushroom cat. Size comparison with the mushroom cat, here we go. That's how much bigger it is. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these cats, but I still wasn't done because I made 2 bigger cats, and then I was like, I need to make a little cat. In my last video, I shared with you all this yarn, which I did put away, and I'll show you at the end how it ended up. It was really fun organizing yarn. But anyway, there was Lion brand purple, I think it's called lavender, that I had found at the thrift store, and I made a little purple one. tiny. I'm not sure if I really like the eyes on this one. They're just yarn. The tail is a little shorter too. This was made with a 3.5 and I just think it's cute. So size comparison with this one. Compared with the famous mushroom hat cat. It's of course smaller hook, smaller yarn. And I don't know, it could be like his little sister or something. But it looks really tiny compared to the giant red one. Look at, it's just like his baby. Oh, I made a family. Here we go. We made a cat family. There we go. Mom, dad, baby. So yeah, for a few days there, I just got obsessed with making cats. I don't know. I like cats. I mean, we've got 4 of them. So before I had started on the Mix and Match Challenge make along, I am doing the Jada and Stitches calendar blanket, which is my Granny's Magical Cupboard, all these granny squares. I finished April's right at the end of April, and then I did do May's. So I'm going to show you guys those right now. The April square is called the 4 Corners Granny Square, and I will, of course, we'll link the videos down below. So this is a 5.5 millimeter hook, and it's just the 6 rounds, just like she does in the tutorial. It's loops and threads, white and light blue. I'm making the one blanket all in loops and threads because I learned my lesson making squares with different yarns. It just doesn't work out in the end. Anyway, these smaller squares, I might make them into a scarf or a small blanket. I'm not quite sure yet. But this is kind of like my practice square, just so I can get the pattern in my head, and then I can just take off and watch YouTube videos, zone out, and crochet. So I am doing 3 more of the month squares with the loops and threads yarn, and I go down a hook size for these next 3 squares to a 3.75 because I like the stitches just a little bit tighter, and these are going to end up in a blanket. It's maybe 2 blankets, I don't know, because I make them double. This is 12 rounds of the 4 Corners Granny Square. It's like I said, loops and threads. The yellow is butter, and then it's light blue. Then I made one with orange, and this color here is called mint, which is kind of like woo. And then there is this one, light pink and orange. So every month I do 3 12-round grannies with the loops and threads, and I also do 2 more 12-round grannies with some of the vintage green yarns, which is kind of behind Rainbow Bright over there. That stash is getting down, which was my goal. My sister gifted me a bunch of greens and whites and off-whites, and then so I'm making like a green granny square blanket. Since they're vintage yarns, they do turn out a little bit smaller, the squares, so I know for sure this is just going to be one blanket in the vintage yarns. I have this one. I'm sorry, I don't know the names of the yarns. Most of it had no ball bands, or the ball band fell off, but I think that looks pretty good. And then I have this variegated, I'm not quite sure about this square, you guys, because you can really see the 4 corners. I used variegated. Like, look at this. I don't know. It's supposed to be a scrappy blanket, and then this is an off-white. This one's a little bit smaller, but you can't really see the 4 corners at all. If you look super, super close, you can see how the pattern is. That's okay, because no one looking at my blanket is gonna be like, oh, that's supposed to be 4 corners. Yeah, it's kind of wild. I can't wait to see what the blanket is going to look like when it's finished. So that was April's. Those were April squares. And May's squares, those are called the framed granny. The framed granny did not take long at all. The April square took me quite a while just because you were constantly switching colors. But this, it turned out really pretty, I think. Again, it's loops and threads in amethyst and light gray. So this is the little square made with a 5.5 hook. The next 3 squares are the 12 rounds with a 3.75 hook, and it's light gray, amethyst, raspberry, and periwinkle. So pretty. There's one. This one, I mean, I like it okay, but it's not my favorite one. It's light pink and it might be rose, the one in here, and this is amethyst. This one is my favorite one. I just think this is so pretty with the pinks. This is called Blush. I know it looks like it beigey, but it's really got a pink tone to it in real life or whatever. I will be blocking these squares before I put them together. And I'm kind of excited now because I actually have blocking squares. I was at Lowe's and they had this pack of 4 of those really big, like carpet sized blocking squares. Like they're blocking squares, you know, they're like, let me just grab them and show you. Okay, I had to get them out of the closet. These, huge. And it was $9.95. Regular $24.98, so $9.97. $10, you get 4 of them. I always wanted blocking squares, but it's like the small ones, you know, they're definitely not big enough for something like this, and they're like $15 a piece or for 2 of them. I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But we just happened to randomly go to Lowe's one day, me and the girls, like, never go there, and they had those in their clearance. So it's the little things, guys. I know you understand. Yeah, I get excited about foam squares. But anyway, set those back here. Okay, I kind of got distracted there for a moment. I have 2 more of the framed granny squares to show you. These are the ones in the vintage green yarns. It just looks so pretty. I really like this pattern. It was really an easy pattern. And again, I just don't know the names of the vintage yarns. They are a tiny bit smaller. And then there's this one, which has a bunch of different colors in it because I was running out of some of the greens, which is a good thing because that was my whole goal. It was to use up the yarn so that I would have room for more yarn. And good thing because I had a lot of yarn to put away. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick, a little bit closer of what I put away and what didn't fit. I mean, those pounds of love are huge. Thank you everyone for watching and stopping by. Welcome all those who are new, and thank you to all of those who have been watching for a while. Some good things are coming. I can't wait until July because I've got this thing I'm planning. Yes, it has something to do with Christmas, and I don't know, it's just gonna be fun. The girls and I went thrifting yesterday and found a few treasures, not crochet related, but strawberry shortcake related. So maybe I'll show you guys those in the next video. This one's getting pretty long. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye everybody. So this is the main place I store my yarn, which is in the living room because like there's a TV. But I do like to sit on the couch and like some people watch TV and I just like look at my yarn. It's organized sort of by color and kind. I put all of my chenille yarns over here, and then these are the acrylics. I don't really have regular orange. I'm gonna have to get some. I just have that safety orange, which is really bright, and yeah, my strawberry shortcakes. I do have quite a bit of blue, so there might be a blue project in the works in sometime in the future. I don't know, but yeah, like I squished that pound of love in there, and then this is the Karen 1 pound. I really squished it in there. I still have some of the off-whites, and my vintage greens are getting down there, you guys. The lighter green that is, I think that's limeade, loops and threads. So yeah, up top. Well, you know, there's yarn in the strawberry shortcake bag. I think it's scrap balls of latte cake yarn, but I really don't want to get that down because I had a hard time getting that up there. And there's two Ella bags back here, a Cinderella, a Disney Princess one and a strawberry shortcake one. Oh, there's three. Just kidding. Those are all full of yarn too. I know in one of them there's some variegated Karen's Simply Soft, but yeah, so sometime in the future I'll go through those bags. My blanket yarn is up here. Behind the purple and the brown is another brown and a black. That pink one is like less than half a skein. I've got my fun variegated yarns up there. And there's that blush right in the middle, right here. That was in that granny square. And inside of that basket is Premier Dollar Tree chenille yarn, pink and brown, and there's also blue. You can kind of see it, like there's the little dollar store yarns in there. And my strawberry shortcake, it's a purse, but I'm using it as a basket. I got that at a craft fair. The little tiny yarns are in there, and yes. Oh, and also, let's not forget my lunch boxes. I need to fix this shelf, it's kind of a mess. There's scrap balls of chenille yarns and velvet yarns, I think, in there. Over here, across the TV, and tripping over a cat toy. Okay. Sorry if you guys don't like a leg, but yeah. Anyway, the rest of my yarns, I just have a little bit of velvet yarn up there and those two pretty yarn cakes, which I'll probably never use, but they're just pretty. These are all of my variegated, sparkly, different type yarns. Again, they're pretty squished in there, but I'm just happy all of it fits. Strawberry shortcake is sitting on top of a basket full of my larger scrap yarn balls, and the smaller ones are in a couple of containers down here. This is a container of my really small scrap yarns, and then the medium to large, all of those balls that I showed you guys in the last video are in this container. But wait, there's more. Like I said, those big pounds of love, like they won't fit up there, so this is the bin that I was pulling stuff out of, and it's almost empty. But and I've got this, I think this might have came from a Goodwill haul or something, but yeah, so I don't know where I'm gonna put these four huge, I don't know, these 4 huge skeins of yarn are gonna go somewhere. That yellow in there is cotton, and there's a few random things in there. You know, I'm gonna show you why not. I'm not gonna go through it, but I'm just gonna show you my crochet cart of just stuff. Like, starting from the bottom, there's a couple mandalas. That is a scrap ball on the right that I'm just making with random yarn, and then there's all this stuff. Yeah, you can't even see anything. We've got Applejack and Pinkie Pie hanging out on top there, so I think I'm gonna go hang out and maybe crochet.